an important uh, this is an important topic and something that is very close to my heart. I have been working with the geriatric population, with elders now for several years, almost I think 11 years now. And I'm going to try and keep this as casual as possible, but I will try and include as much science as I can. And I would really like you all to maybe make some notes. आपको अगर चीज़ें इंटरेस्टिंग लगे या आपके लिए यूज़फुल लगे, थिंग्स दैट मे बी आप बाद में भी यूज़ कर सकते हैं या रिफ़र कर सकते हैं, तो प्लीज़ फील फ्री टू मेक नोट्स एंड एट द एंड ऑफ द टॉक यू कैन आस्क मी क्वेश्चंस. I have kept a little bit of time aside for that, and I'm going to just jump in and get started. Um, my colleague is going to share, yes. So thank you, Sana, for the presentation. And yes, all right. So I will be talking about the role of neuropsychology in aging. Now, I understand that most of you are, I'm going to say, 60 years young and younger. So what I'll be talking to you all about is different aspects of aging, some of the things which we are aware of, and some of the things that get missed because we kind of maybe take them for granted. And along with that, I will explain the term neuropsychology to you. It is a field which is not very well understood, but as the name suggests, neuro and psychology. So, what this talk is going to be about is the brain and its functions, especially in the aging process. And on the next slide, I am going to just cover the topics. So I will be talking about dementia. I will be talking about what a neuropsychological assessment can do for you, and also what can be done after somebody might get a dementia diagnosis. So after somebody is diagnosed with dementia, what are the things that are still possible? And then a very, very important question, is dementia preventable? It is something which I think some of you might have read about, heard about, but I'm going to explain to you all with all of the science whether it is preventable or not. And then I will go on to tell you about how you can actually go ahead and prevent dementia. So moving forward, let's see. So what is dementia? डिमेंशिया के लिए आपने अलग अलग टर्म सुने होंगे. ऑल्जाइमर्स में भी सुना रहेगा, या आपने सुना होगा कि एज यू गेट ओल्डर याद शक्ति एंड जो स्मरण शक्ति है हमारी वो कम होती जाती है, एंड ये नॉर्मल है. बट कितना नॉर्मल है, दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड. सो ये जो डायग्राम है इसमें यू कैन सी दैट 3 कॉलम्स हैं. ग्रीन, which is the normal aging process. So then there is a little bit of progression into the yellow, which we call mild cognitive impairment. And then the orange red part, which is the last stage, is dementia. So dementia एक बीमारी है, and ये बीमारी के अलग अलग कारण होते हैं. इनमें से एक कारण है Alzheimer's. तो ब्रेन में there are different kinds of protein deposits that can take place, and one particular type is called Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's में सबसे मेन जो सिम्टम है, सबसे प्रोमिनेंट जो सिम्टम है, वो है loss of memory. So in the last stages, people will also forget people will also forget the names of their family members and will not even be able to recognize people around them. But that is the last and final sort of progression of dementia. Dementia के अलग अलग types होते हैं and अलग अलग presentation होते हैं. Sorry. So as I was saying, dementia एक कैटेगरी है ऑफ इलनेसेस जिसमें से एक अल्जाइमर्स है. Apart from that, there are various other types of dementias: vascular dementia, frontotemporal dementia, and Lewy body dementia. अलग-अलग कारण रहते हैं. Now, the main thing that you need to understand about dementia, it is कि brain के functions, अलग-अलग functions deteriorate होते हैं. This is an incurable illness and it is progressive.
How is
You unmuted. You unmuted.
you can't
Sorry?
hear.
Is somebody trying to ask a question? Okay, I'll continue. So 3 main things हैं जो dementia के बारे में आपको जाननी है. Dementia is incurable, it is progressive, and it has many different types. Now, when I say many different types, Alzheimer's, can you please mute everybody? Thank you. And if there are any questions in the middle of the talk also, please feel free to write them in the chat. I will read it and I will respond. So moving forward, the brain has different functions. One of them is this word cognition that you can see. In the yellow column, as you can see, I've titled it mild cognitive impairment. Cognitive functions are one of the main functions that a neuropsychologist deals with. So one of the main things that I work with are the cognitive functions of the brain. Cognition is all of the thinking capacity that we have. So our ability to pay attention, our ability to remember things, our ability to learn new things, being able to plan the day, being able to, let's say you're playing chess, so planning your next move, paying attention to what you are doing and what your opponent is doing. Also being able to, say, learn a new musical instrument, going about your whole day, listening to a conversation, making decisions. All of these things are cognitive functions. These come from different parts of the brain. So, for example, your ability to judge a situation and based on your judgment of the situation. So, for example, this is a formal setting. Now, in this formal setting, I have to behave and talk in a certain way. This kind of decision making is happening in the frontal part of the brain. Memory and learning is happening over here in the temporal part of the brain. Emotions are happening in the middle part of the brain. All of this is on top, and then the middle part of the brain is where emotions are being formulated and how I feel. If there is fear that I'm feeling, if there's sadness I'm feeling, that is where it comes from. All of the different parts of the brain work together to make you who you are. And just the way that बाकी सारे organs start to slowly deteriorate, जैसे हमारी eyesight deteriorate होती है, या हमारी skin की quality, we get wrinkles, we get little bit of gray hair. All of these things happen as part of normal natural aging. This is supposed to happen. But in cognition, how much is supposed to actually be acceptable? That is what I have written over here. So I will explain this to you because it's very important for you all to understand okay, what you should accept and what you should see as a problem. So in the green column, as you can see, अगर आप लोगों के नाम भूल रहे हैं, immediately when you meet somebody, you're not able to recall someone's name. Or if you're talking to your friend and you say that, this person, who I met years ago or who I met last week also, I forgot their name. That is normal, that is acceptable. Immediately, if you're not able to recall someone's name, that is in the green category. The other thing is maybe a little bit of confusion sometimes about dates. Maybe a little bit of confusion and loss of detail of experiences. So for example, if you went on a vacation 2-3 months ago and you don't remember first which city you landed in, then where did you go from there, how many days you stayed in that second city, what was the name of the hotel where you stayed. ऐसी details अगर आपको याद नहीं है, but in general you remember that you went to Andaman Nicobar Islands and you landed in Port Blair, and then you went here, and then you went there, and then you went scuba diving on your vacation. Maybe you are adventurous and maybe you are still doing these things. If you have the overall picture, then then there is nothing to worry about. But if there are details, and if there are details that you're forgetting or a little bit confused about, that is all acceptable. But major things being forgotten, where you went, or whether it was 2 months ago or 6 months ago, those kinds of things, you should take note of, and you should consult a professional for that. Now, coming to the yellow category, what are the things that you should take note of? Just losing interest in past hobbies, losing interest in meeting people, not being able to pay attention in group conversations. One-on-one conversations are okay. You're able to pay attention, you're able to follow it. But if 3-4 people, 5-6 people are talking together as a group event and you find it difficult, because of that, if you start to not socialize, then that is a cause for concern, and I would recommend that you speak to a professional about it. If your family members are starting to tell you that you're repeating yourself too much, or you're asking the same question again and again, then that is definitely, it warrants a neuropsychological assessment. It also warrants a visit to a neurologist. So these are the two main people who you should see. If you feel that your cognition is failing or is changing, you might not feel that it has deteriorated completely, but if you feel that there is a change, then our goal is to do an assessment as early as possible. If there is some amount of forgetfulness here and there, so let's say that you keep misplacing your keys, or you keep misplacing your spectacles, a little bit of that is acceptable. But if you start feeling like you're losing money or major things are going wrong, then yes, again, it warrants a visit to a healthcare professional. In dementia, I will explain to you what are the things that will change. First and foremost, there is your personality and your behavior and your emotions, which is one category, and then the other is the cognition. If there is any drastic change in either of the two, so for example, if you feel that somebody's personality is not what it used to be 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago, then yes, definitely means that you should consult a doctor, and we need to do a thorough checkup. If you feel that they are very, very confused about the date to the point that you or somebody around you might not know the month or the year, and if there is constant confusion, then yes, that is also something to assess. Um, if it becomes difficult to get to familiar places, so let's say from your house to, maybe if you visit a gymkhana club regularly, but you've started to get confused, or if you go to the temple regularly and you're starting to get confused, or your place of work, or a relative's house, places that you have frequented but are now not very sure of, just a little bit of loss of confidence in your own thinking skills, in your own memory, that is going to be something that I want you all to become more aware of. आप थोड़े alert रहिए if there are changes in your own cognitive functioning. Apart from that, as I said, if you don't feel like meeting people, if you're withdrawing from society, from your own interests, if you're starting to feel a little bit dull, you find it difficult to follow TV shows, link nahi rehti hai, so maybe you don't really watch movies or read books anymore, then these are all things that need to be assessed. Going to the next slide, what is important to understand is that is that the normal aging process, which is in green, very well could progress into the yellow, and there could be difficulties, but that is not a disease process. That is not something that you should be alarmed by. Mild cognitive impairment is very common, but it is not dementia. And if you are caught in time while you're in the MCI stage, there are many things that can be done to try and ensure that a progression into dementia doesn't take place. Even the medication which is available, but I'll remind you that dementia is incurable, but there is medicine to support cognitive function. So I'll give you an example. The way that we have vitamins and minerals in our body. So, for example, if you have an iron deficiency, you will take iron pills. Or if you have a B12 deficiency, you're going to take a multivitamin. Now, the same way as this, there is also another neurotransmitter, so a hormone in the brain called acetylcholine. जब ये कम हो जाता है, you will start to feel memory changes. So the medicine that a doctor would give you is going to just support memory function, but it will have better effect if we were to diagnose you in the early stages. So in the early stages, this medicine will have better impact. And also we can do the other things which I'm going to describe for you in detail during this yellow stage, so that we can try and avoid any progression into the orange. Um, Please feel free to, again, I remind you, make notes or write questions in the chat box. Now, how can a neuropsychological assessment be helpful? I will explain to you what a neuropsychological assessment is. A neuropsychological evaluation looks at memory function, the different aspects of cognition. As I told you, there will be things like multitasking, or just being able to pay attention for a long period of time, or planning, or even language, how well and how fluently you're able to talk and convey what you're thinking. That is also cognition. Apart from that, your emotional and behavioral functioning. Is there a little bit of sadness of mood that is coming in? Are you getting more worried about the future? All of these things can also impact your learning and memory and your cognitive function. So doing an in-depth evaluation is something which will help us plan the way forward better. The next one. Oh, sorry. And thereafter, Sana, can you go to the next slide, please? Yes. If if the evaluation shows that you're diagnosed with dementia, or that a family member is diagnosed with dementia, it doesn't have to mean that there's nothing that can be done, because it might seem confusing, because on the one hand I'm telling you that it is incurable, it is progressive, ये बढ़ता जाएगा, ये symptoms worse होते जाएंगे, but I'm still telling you that कुछ कर सकते हैं, and we can make the quality of life better, because the two things are not the same. If your brain is deteriorating and you cannot learn new things, that doesn't mean that you cannot be happy in life. It doesn't mean that you cannot be independent. It doesn't mean that you cannot enjoy things. And that is actually what quality of life means. And there are sessions that can help. And when I say these sessions, exercise. You should do the. So a Sudoku puzzle is very good. A crossword puzzle is very good. There are many different things like this that are good for you. But what is very important is that you should not be doing the same thing every day, and you should be doing a little bit for all the parts of your brain. For example, अगर आप जिम जा रहे हैं या एक्सरसाइज कर रहे हैं, so let's say you're doing yoga, you don't do just one asana, no, every day. You're not only exercising one part or one muscle in your body, you are exercising your whole body. And the same way, we want you to exercise your whole brain, which means all of the different functions need to be exercised, and the whole brain needs to be kept healthy and active. So there are these cognitive retraining sessions which can really help keep the brain active. The second thing is family support and therapy is also something that is very important, because this is a process that can continue for several years. Family members also need the right kind of guidance and the right kind of support, and those sessions are also provided, and there are many different professionals who provide them, not just me. And I know that the Tulsi Trust also actually is doing great work. Graceful Aging, as far as I know, also has support groups, and I think a regular weekly support group, which, like the name suggests, helps provide support so that you don't feel alone, because many people are actually going through this. The main thing that I want you all to understand is that dementia does not mean the end. Life can be joyful. Just because one function in one part of your body is not working well, it does not mean that life has come to a standstill. And that might sound difficult to some of you who might have seen somebody close to you struggling with their memory or with their brain function. But there definitely are a lot of people who I've worked with where they know that, okay, now I have dementia, so I have to prepare for the future. And how do I prepare for the future? There are ways in which we can actually teach you all strategies so that you can continue to remain as independent as possible. Because from everything that all of my senior friends have taught me, remaining independent, not becoming sort of overly reliant on people around you, that is something that is very, very important, and it is a priority for people, and I can understand that. But of course, I am not at your age, so I am going to share with you the research and my learning from other seniors that I have received. Can you? Yes, thank you, Sana. Now, cognitive stimulation, a little bit of it, I told you what it is that we do. That was a very simplified version, but involving the different domains of cognitive function, and therefore involving the different parts of the brain. This is one of the core features of these sessions. The second is going to be adding appropriate leisure activities into your daily routine. So just yesterday, I was talking to a patient of mine, and he used to play bridge. And in fact, he used to participate in tournaments. Now, bridge, I don't know if you all are all aware of it, but ये card game है, and it's a very, very complex card game. It's highly stimulating for the brain, but beyond a certain point, it is going to get difficult to continue. And that doesn't mean that you should stop playing cards altogether. There are different card games that you can play. Maybe if some of you know how to play 21 card rummy, you know that 21 card rummy and 13 card rummy mein quite zyada farak hai. And that farak is because it's at different levels. So what we have to do is just get to the right level so that you can still continue to enjoy things that maybe were there in your routine, but apart from just the things that were there, also adding new things. That's very important. Maybe some of you now find it difficult to go for long walks or brisk walks, but that doesn't mean that you can't be around nature anymore. We can actually think of, creating a little green corner in your house. If you don't have a balcony, if you have a balcony, you're very lucky in a city like Bombay, and then you can have a whole lot of plants around you. If you can't walk, there are certain exercises that you can do which can still give you very good exercise by just sitting on a chair. So adapting and compensating for things that are sort of lost now because of age, that is what we have to try and do. Adapting to now this new situation of life. Cognitive remediation and behavior activation therapy, these are maybe a little bit of technical terms. These are different forms of therapies and theories that have been developed over the years, and they have very good benefits for certain kinds of for concerns. So some things are going to be more beneficial for some people versus others. Reminiscence therapy is the term reminiscence means nostalgia. So past ko yaad karna and just enjoying the past, reliving the past through your memory. Now, memory, if you think of it, is like magic. You can go back to your childhood days and just think back. If you sit for half an hour and just think back and bring back all of the details, you can actually relive it. Sitting here today, October 2022, you can go back to 1992 and relive some of the memories that you have. And that is the magic of memory. Keep in mind that even if you're not remembering what you ate for breakfast today, 99% you will be able to remember certain very important days from your childhood or from several decades ago. So you will remember in detail maybe your wedding days or your children being born or your school days or early childhood days. These are things that you will remember because that is how memory works. Memory is, every memory is like a new plant. So the younger the plant, the weaker the roots, correct? तो अगर जोर से बारिश आएगी, then a very young plant will get washed away. So these memories, the most recent memories, can get washed away. But the older memories are like trees. They are strong, they have big roots, and that's why they are there. So a lot of people I know find it very confusing that why does my mother or why do I remember things from 30 years ago? It means my memory is very good, but I cannot remember who I met last week or what I did yesterday. And that is the nature of memory. That is how it functions. So don't get confused. And in fact, use that to your advantage. Go back and relive certain happy times. And of course, that is something that we do as well in a more maybe organized manner. Now, dementia is preventable. I have told you all about dementia, and I hope that I have not scared you about it. But it's very important because awareness is empowerment. And I want you all to know what dementia is, what you can do to prevent it, and what you all can do if you're diagnosed with it. So currently, this decade that we're in, it has been called the decade of healthy aging by the World Health Organization. A lot of the population of the world is aging and is crossing the 60-year mark. And at the same time, we're also discovering, thanks to all of the neuroscience research, that it doesn't mean that we have to be condemned to a dementia diagnosis, right? We don't have to say that we will forget everything. We will not recognize our family members. We will be completely dependent on people around us. It doesn't have to mean that at all. And our goal is aging gracefully. And to age gracefully, a lot of things have to also begin much younger in age. And for everybody who's attending, this is something that you can share maybe with your family members also, that there are practices, if they're there throughout your life, they're actually going to create a neuroprotective shield. Now, neuroprotective means an immunity shield around your brain. So, neuro meaning brain, and protective as in preventive or immunity. So, how do you create this kind of a neuroprotective lifestyle? Does it exist? Does it help? Yes, it does help. Yes, there are so many things that you can do, which I will talk about. And this is something that can actually give you a very good quality of life and a longer health span. Age span आपने सुना होगा कि for how long you live. But health span means for how long you remain healthy and independent. So a neuroprotective lifestyle is basically preserving the structure, the volume, and the function of the brain. That is basically what it means. Even though there is aging, which is going to take a toll, even though there might be certain kinds of diseases, maybe like a stroke or maybe some sort of infections. Yes, there might be some amount of wear and tear, but the stronger your shield, the more protection your brain has. So now, how do you make that shield around your brain stronger? One of the main things is, which I know y'all have, I'm sure, quite a bit of understanding about, a healthy diet. There are certain things like vitamin B12, vitamin D3, and apart from that, also controlling your sugar and insulin parameters. These two vitamin deficiencies, insulin and sugar parameters, and thyroid, all of these have to be maintained normally. The vitamin and the thyroid can be more easily managed. Maybe insulin and sugar, you would need some more support from the doctors. But these are things that you have to constantly get sort of, in your regular blood work that you do. And I hope that you all do regular blood work. Keep checking it. Make sure that it is in the normal range. If not, if you feel that, if you see that there is a deterioration, if you see that you have a deficiency, correct it at the earliest. Stress management is very important. And of course, it's important throughout life. But the more stress that you cannot manage and cannot handle, the worse it is going to make brain function. So learning different ways in which to manage stress is going to be important. Your ability to manage stress naturally is going to be affected if your sleep quality is poor. Your ability to manage stress improves if you practice some form of mindfulness meditation. Just being able to be in the here and the now, disconnecting from thoughts about ab kya hoga or what I have to do tomorrow or ek do saal baad kya hoga, or this happened and I'm very upset about what happened last month and I have certain regrets in my life. If there are things that are bothering you long term, if you have thoughts that we call ruminative, constantly, bar, same thoughts are going on in your mind, please seek professional help to deal with them, because by avoiding them, you're actually worsening your brain function. It is not helping. Thought stopping is what we call it, and it affects you genetically. I'm not going to go into the science, but this is something that you should seek professional help for. Having a clear direction and meaning in life, finding new things. Let's say until the age of 60, 65, even 70, 8 hours of your day were directed at work. But today, at the age of 73, 74, instead of 8 hours, you spend only 2 hours at work. So, what do you do with the rest of your time? That is retirement planning. Retirement planning goes beyond just financial planning. How do you spend those 6, 7, 8 hours of your time, which were filled with something else completely? How do you fill it with something meaningful that is going to be stimulating today? This is something that you should be thinking about and actually doing. And again, there are professionals who can help with these things, and that is where a neuropsychologist comes in. Physical activity, extremely important. um, at least as a rule, 30 minutes of exercise 5 times a week is something that you should minimum aim for. It doesn't matter if it's a very, very slow walk in a garden, or if you're able to do maybe 1.5 hour a day. But please stick to a minimum of 30 minutes 5 times a week at least. Social interaction is another one. We have so much research today to show that it actually helps your mood, but it also helps the fitness of your brain. And when your mood is better, your cognition and your memory is going to be better. Um, Sleep by itself is something that I can talk for an hour on that. So I will try and keep it very brief. But the quality of your sleep is extremely important, not just the quantity of your sleep. If you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, yes, you will sleep lesser. That is true. So the quantity can reduce, but the quality is still going to be very important. The quality of your sleep does two very important things for you. There is a system in the brain called the glymphatic system. This is the waste management symptom of your system of your brain. In the beginning, if you recall, I told you about Alzheimer's dementia, where certain proteins are deposited, certain waste material is deposited, and it doesn't get cleaned out over the years. And that's why Alzheimer's sort of is the result of it. This system, this glymphatic system, is automatically on every night when we sleep. Everybody, from the day that we're born, it is on only when you sleep, and you sleep well. There are stages of sleep, and if you were to sleep well, then your brain is getting cleaned up, it is getting refreshed every day. This is not something that you will realize on your own. And for that, there are sleep tests that you can do also. And the sleep test is simple. You just have to sleep through the test. Apart from that, another thing which is very important is that we continue to breathe while we're sleeping. So our brain is supposed to get enough oxygen. But there is a sleep disorder, which is very common. And because of that, yes, you might be sleeping, but your body and your brain are not getting enough oxygen, which means that slowly, 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 over the years, over months, your body and your brain function are getting deteriorated. So, sleep function is extremely crucial also. And cognitive engagement, as I told you, fill your day with things that are going to be stimulating for you. Try and learn something new. If it is a new language, don't worry, you don't have to give an exam for it. If it's a new instrument, you don't have to play for anybody else. But just the act of learning, just the act of trying to learn something new is very beneficial for your brain. So if you start learning art for the first time in your life, you don't have to have an art exhibition or display your art anywhere. So the quality doesn't matter, but doing it itself, just the act of doing it, is beneficial for you. Pick up a new skill. Try and solve language puzzles and number puzzles. Play games, play board games. What I'm going to do is I will list out a few things right now in the chat box, which These are simple games that you all can buy. And maybe as part of your routine with your family members, you can add maybe an hour a week just to play these board games. And that itself is going to be very, very good for you. You'll notice how it is stimulating for you. And apart from that, I think I have almost covered everything that goes into a neuroprotective lifestyle. But the main thing about it is consistency. This is not something that you should think that is going to give benefits if you do it for 1 week, 1 month, 6 months. It has to be continued. That's why it's a lifestyle. It is not some short-term treatment, but you have to continue and you have to learn to find joy in living like this. And that joy will come from just knowing that if you're doing all of these things, you are actually investing in a healthier, happier future. And now, just to summarize everything so that then we have time for questions, I talked about what dementia is, simple signs and symptoms, what you should do if you recognize certain things within yourself or in a family member, and what a neuropsychological assessment is, why you should do it, and how early detection can actually be very helpful. What are the benefits of cognitive stimulation after a diagnosis of dementia? What are the things that can actually be done to help an individual and their family after a dementia diagnosis? Very, very important takeaway. Please note, dementia can be preventable. There are many things that you can do to prevent dementia and also make your journey easier if you're diagnosed early. And why you should follow a neuroprotective lifestyle and how you should follow it. These are the key things that I have covered in the talk, and I hope that you found all of it helpful. I am going to now just open it up for questions in case anybody has any. Thank you for paying attention and listening. Does anybody have any questions? I have listed out 6 games in the chat box. They range from simple to slightly more challenging and stimulating. These are very easy. You can buy them on Amazon, and definitely something that will be fun even as a family activity.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, myself Samnerkar. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
I am Shashikant Samnerkar.
All right.
I have got trouble of some short memory loss.
All right.
I am on medication. I am on psychiatric medication from 30 years.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, go on. Go on.
Yeah. Yes. I am taking a half tablet of Trinicum Plus in the morning and half tablet of Risdone LS in the evening.
Okay.
So is that have any connection with my short memory loss?
So, Mr. Samnarkar, the thing is that it depends on many things. Just based on the medications that you have mentioned, I cannot comment on whether or not there is any direct correlation with the memory loss.
Yeah.
But this is something that, you know, in detail, maybe you should discuss with your psychiatrist. They would be actually the right people to guide you, especially because you've been taking the medication for 30 years. And I hope that you're doing regular consults with your psychiatrist while taking this medication. Somebody. Sorry?
Yeah, my name is Miss Viju Chavan. I want to say something.
Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. You know, your detailed information was very helpful. I don't think, I'm 70 years old now. I don't think I have any problems. But as you said, that natural tendency of forgetting the names, getting confused with the things which you leave sometimes that somewhere, and finding it difficult to remember. All these things are happening. So as per you, it is all a natural process of aging. And I don't want to go to any psychiatrist to treat all these kind of things because I am a rheumatic patient and the allopathy medicines aggravate my inflammation problems. That is also one thing is there. So I try to keep myself busy, active, exercise, everything is there. But at times I feel that if my age grows and then really it aggravates, then what do? I get a little worried about it. So can I handle the same way which I'm handling now? I'm keeping myself busy, happy, active. Will that always help me, or else I need to go? Because I've seen, if you take a medicine for one problem, the other problem is in, involved. And then if you take, so you get entangled with the medicine. That is the problem. I want to avoid it.
So I'll just answer that. Mr. One, the first thing is that, just based on you telling me that these are the things that you're able to do and these are the things that you're not able to do, I cannot comment whether or not things are going to change in the future. Nobody can predict the future. But what is important is what you're doing today for yourself. And like you said, you're keeping your brain active. You are keeping yourself happy by doing things that you enjoy. That's important. If in the future ever you feel the need to visit a doctor, then please keep in mind you don't need to visit a psychiatrist for memory issues. You need to visit a neurologist or a neuropsychologist. These are different. These are different specialties. These are different doctors. Now I know that for other organs of the body, there's one doctor. For the heart, you have to go to a cardiologist. But for the brain, there is a psychologist, there is a psychiatrist, there is a neurologist, there's a neurosurgeon. It's complicated for the brain, I understand. But for emotional issues, yes, there is a psychiatrist. But for brain function issues like memory, it is not a psychiatrist you need to go to. You need to go to a neurologist.
Yes.
Okay, so that is one thing. And yes, if the doctor feels the need, then sometimes medication is given, but this is not psychiatric medication, as I explained. So when and if you go to a doctor, please try and understand from the doctor themselves, what is the medicine, what kind of side effects can you expect. It's important for you to learn about it before actually blocking it out. I'm just going to quickly take a couple of more questions. I just
Thank you so much. Well explained, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Miss Sudha Gokhale has asked, how can one know when he's not getting adequate oxygen during sleep? So there is a test called a polysomnogram. I have written the spelling in the chat again. A polysomnogram is basically a sleep test, and it can be done at a hospital near you or at a clinic near you, or there are also certain doctors who can send somebody home. What you have to do is a couple of wires, few wires will be attached to your body, and you have to sleep through the night. The machine is going to record your sleep, and then it will be analyzed by the doctor. What we will get to know is how deep your sleep can be, how much time you're sleeping, how much oxygen you get while you sleep. So through COVID, I'm sure all of you know that there was that little machine that you used either on your thumb or your index finger to see the saturation, oxygen saturation levels. That is all while you're awake. But this machine is recording that oxygen saturation even while you're sleeping. So the next day you will get the data of how your body is able to take in oxygen and how much oxygen or carbon dioxide is being retained in your body while you sleep. And just one more question by Miss Vijay Lakshmi. My husband was a Parkinson's patient, a national level bridge player too. A couple of years before his demise, he was given medicine to enhance in memory. It worked wonders. Okay, that's great. Thank you for sharing that, actually. Thank you for sharing a personal thing like that. And yes, so I hope that I have been able to answer the questions that you all have. And if you all need any contact information on my part, I will just quickly put down my mobile number so that you all have it. And of course, I'm sure the Tulsi Trust will be very helpful in providing any other contact information as well. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, Dr. Shraddha, Asha here.
Yes.
I'm sorry I joined late. I had a problem. But now Akanksha will give a vote of thanks. Yeah. And
Okay.
that was a lovely talk. Lovely talk you did.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Graceful Living, I would like to thank Dr. Shah for giving her valuable time, and it was a very informative session. I hope all the participants and everyone will have a very informative information in their day-to-day life. And I also thank all the participants. मैं सभी participant को धन्यवाद कहना चाहती हूँ कि आपने ये सेशन अटेंड किया है. तो ग्रेसफुल लिविंग सभी सोशल मीडिया पे है, तो आप उन्हें फॉलो कीजिए. फेसबुक, इंस्टाग्राम पे भी है और हमारी वेबसाइट भी है. और आज का सेशन आपको कैसा लगा ये फीडबैक भी हमें दीजिए. थैंक यू डॉक्टर श्रद्धा शाह फॉर गिविंग योर वैल्यूएबल टाइम. थैंक यू वंस अगेन.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I had a good time talking to all of you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Bye.